Today's podcast is brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ To Go. If you want to build your game and learn jiu-jitsu, go to bjjtogo.com. Third thing we're brought to you by is Rat Bat. Got rats? Want to kill bats? Kill them with a rat bat. Fourth thing we're brought to you by is hot dog flavored water ingredients. If you want to add it to your smoothie, hot dog flavor ingredient. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the story of David and Goliath, and kind of pertaining to my friend. He's going through some stuff right now, and because this kind of is going to go out to him, I'm going to present Todd with this shepherd sling. And a shepherd sling is famous from the story of Goliath, David and Goliath. And if you're not a religious person, you still know the story of David and Goliath. It's part of like the vernacular or the zeitgeist of society, probably multiple languages, not even where Christianity is. There's a symbolism of like the small defeating the big, or the large problem with someone that seems on the outside impossible or insurmountable obstacle, and then which would be the Goliath, and then David would be the person that you're dealing with, struggling with this difficult thing, and that pertains to him. And I'm going to give him this sling as a reminder of a representation of what it means, and hopefully it'll help you, Todd, go through the things that you got to go through. Couple things. There's a lot of things in the story of Goliath that I have taken as far as like messages that you can get out of it, and wisdom. Even if you don't believe it's even a real story and it was a made up whatever, there's still a lesson as a fable. And if you believe it's real, then it's even easier to understand the lessons that you can derive from it. One of the things that, if you read this story, it mentions that David is the youngest of the sons of Jesse, and because he's the youngest, he has to do all the menial tasks and the things that people don't want to do. So he's in charge of the sheep most of the time, and then later on he's the one that has to bring food to his brothers who are on the battle lines facing down Goliath. And Goliath walks out and taunts the Israelis, and says, he just talks trash. Basically, he's huge. He's supposed to be about 9'9". Regardless of how huge he is, the emphasis is on how much bigger he is and how much stronger he is than everyone else. And there's that fear always when you're going against something that's very big and can possibly kill you, or just a problem in your life that just seems difficult or almost impossible to get over. And there's a couple things in this story that I've always taken away, that I thought were important, and pertaining to you, Todd, for this. The sling is interesting too, because Goliath has a giant spear that's supposed to weigh about 15 pounds. And I've used, I've done landscaping, and I've used a hard, like a rod, and I think that weighs about 19 pounds. And I can't imagine, and that's to like hit in the ground and break up the dirt, because dirt in Arizona is like concrete. And it's hard to maneuver, man. And I can't imagine throwing that. So if you're strong enough to throw a 15-pound spear, I mean, you're a strong individual, regardless of how tall you are. And he has a giant sword. He has all the armor on. I mean, they describe his armor. They describe his helmet even. And so you look at him and you're like, there's no vulnerabilities. He's giant. He's got these big weapons. He's very strong. He's got length. If you're a fighter, he's got length. And so he has a spear. He can reach you with a spear. If he's in close combat, he has a sword. He can get you. He has the armor, so it's hard to penetrate if you have a weapon. And he goes up with this sling, and
if you've seen a shepherd sling, it's not like the one with a handle that has that you pull back. It's actually like a pouch with 2 ropes, and you swing it, and you have to release it and have perfect timing to release it so the pebble goes the direction you want to go. And you can fling it pretty darn fast, actually. You can get it, I'm not sure, I haven't looked it up how fast you can go, but you can definitely sink a pebble into something and you can break windows easily. You can kill animals with it for sure, and you can probably kill a human with it for sure as well. And then again, if you're pinpoint accurate with this thing, that's kind of one of the morals of the story is, not looking into what you have and this insurmountable thing, but taking stock of what you do have, and using what you have. And the other thing that's important, I think, is that when David goes up and he's in this position and he agrees to go out and fight Goliath, everyone says that he's just a boy, but his faith is what guides the pebble, and his preparation for the menial task that he did before, being a shepherd, prepared him to be good at using a sling. And I think that's important to understand as far as the story of Goliath. And he says he sinks the pebble directly into his forehead. Some say his temple, but either way, that is a small window opportunity, a small target to hit, because he also had a helmet on, so most of his head is protected. He may have had a face shield too, who knows. So the only thing, maybe the slit was open to reach. I don't know how it was built. They don't describe exactly the helmet, but he did have a helmet, so his head was protected. You had to hit right on point in order to get it to work. So and then it describes later that, or he says before he goes out, that, look, I've killed a lion and a bear, which, whatever. I don't know if they had lions and bears there, but his point is, look, I've killed these giant animals, these predators. Goliath is no different. So, the first thing when you're faced with this problem sometimes in your life is to look back of what you've already experienced that can lead you to, how can I use those experiences to get over this big thing? What happened in my life prior that gives me the confidence that I can tackle this bigger thing? And, I think that's really important when you're facing down on Goliath, is drawing from your experience, to give you the confidence to do it and the faith to do it. And it's the faith that, to me, that it's possible. So that's the first thing, too. Really is the first thing. When you're looking at a Goliath, you have to believe that you can beat the Goliath. Whatever it is, the problem, the whatever. Or an actual giant person, too. I've beaten much bigger people in jiu-jitsu. They have the open weight division. You see Kyle Terra, he's beat big guys before, too. It is possible. And you have to understand that the belief that it's possible. If you don't believe it's possible, it is not possible. You will not do it magically if you don't believe it's possible. So that's one of the biggest things, I think, that's important. Now, he believes that God is guiding him, and he's going to do this for God. And also that's important, that his reasons for doing it, what are the reasons for it? And they say in the story that he's going to get all these things. Even his family won't have to pay taxes for a year, which sounds pretty sweet. And but he says, I'm going to do this for the glory of God, kind of thing. And when you're facing down something difficult, know your reasons why you should face down it. Like, what are your reasons that make it worth the fight? What is the goal if you beat the Goliath instead of giving up or avoiding the problem altogether? What happens? And that's also important if you're going to defeat a Goliath. So those are kind of 3 things, I guess I would say: the faith, the belief that you can do it, a reason for doing it, and then drawing upon your past experiences to help you get through this hard time. And sometimes we go through a bunch of small difficult things that give us experience to help us get through the big difficult thing. And you're always like, sometimes it's like, some people can relate to the pandemic. So, I've had so many things go down wrong during the pandemic, really for the last 6 years, that really helped me personally get through the pandemic, which was like, the government telling you I can't really run my business properly. And yet we're still here. I survived the year. So, some of my hard past experiences fortified me to make me be able to endure the pandemic. Personally, I believe that. And then with Todd, I would say that the same thing with you, man. Like, you need to draw upon the things you've done in your life or this past year to get to this next big thing that you got to tackle. And when I give you this, also I know you like weapons, so that helps too. But I want you to think about the representation of what it means, why you need to fight this Goliath, your faith that God could see you through and that you are capable of, and then drawing upon your past experiences to do it. And again, there's plenty of other things. You can go deep into David's story with the Goliath. There's David's story. Everyone goes to Goliath. He has a long, it goes through 2 books of the Bible, or maybe 3 books of the Bible. His story is so long. And there's ups and downs, and everyone thinks about the Goliath. But it's a very relatable thing, and even into present day, the story is probably 5,000 years old. Who knows, 3,000 years old. It's old, It's an old story, but the value and the lessons are still there that we can pull through. Again, regardless if you have a faith structure or not, the morals of the story are still there. That's why we don't throw away fables as well. I'm a believer. I don't know how well this story is from what happened, but the truths that were in this story that relate to us, I think are super relevant and super valid today. And I don't know, Todd, hopefully this helps you get through some stuff, man. So this is a short podcast, and it's mainly for Todd, honestly. I love you, man, and we'll get through this, man. Peace.
Let me talk for just a second, help me feel that sense of rhythm. Find the meanings in our bearings and discover this position as a stage along the way. Another rung to the ladder, either stalling or you're climbing, and I'd rather beat the ladder. Instead of getting fatter, let the footsteps resume naturally.